If bedtime has devolved into a nightly battle of negotiations, tears, and endless glasses of water, you already know the toll it takes. You're exhausted, your child is frustrated, and the entire house is tense. The medical community now recognizes exactly how high the stakes are. In 2024, pediatricians officially elevated sleep to a pillar of health, placing it alongside nutrition and exercise as a core requirement for survival and development. This chart breaks down the minimum sleep hours required per day. Toddlers ages 1 and 2 need 11 to 14 hours. Preschoolers require 10 to 13 hours. And school-age children still need between 9 and 12 hours of sleep every day. These requirements are strict biological baselines. Falling below these specific thresholds triggers a cascade of severe developmental and physical consequences. Recent 2024 research shows chronic sleep deprivation physically alters the brain, shrinking the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for impulse control. Without it, the brain cannot suppress the amygdala, leading to extreme emotional volatility and hyperactivity, frequently misdiagnosed as ADHD. The academic toll is equally severe. Sleep-deprived children experience a 40% decrease in memory retention because the brain cannot perform the maintenance required to move daytime learning into long-term memory. This rising line graph tracks the physical health impacts, showing a direct correlation between decreased sleep hours and a 58% spike in the risk of childhood obesity. Sleep deprivation disrupts the hormones that signal hunger and fullness while simultaneously weakening the immune system. A child fighting sleep is actively missing their critical nightly repair cycle. The damage to their developing mind and body compounds with every lost hour. This brings up a frustrating question for parents. If a child is so exhausted, why do they act so hyper? Why do the most tired kids fight sleep the hardest? It comes down to a biological mechanism called the wired but tired paradox. When a child becomes overtired, their body perceives the fatigue as a threat and triggers a stress response, flooding their system with cortisol and adrenaline to force them to stay awake. Modern technology throws fuel on this chemical fire. Screen exposure within 1 hour of bedtime delays sleep onset by up to an hour. This downward trend shows exactly why screens are so disruptive. The blue light emitted by tablets and TVs directly suppresses the brain's natural production of melatonin, the hormone that regulates sleep, by roughly 22%. At 8 p.m., the challenge is a direct result of surging stress hormones and suppressed melatonin. Overcoming these chemical barriers requires a specific strategic intervention. Fixing this starts with environmental boundaries. A consistent 7-day schedule prevents weekend sleep-ins from causing Monday morning social jet lag. The bedroom must be dark and cool, around 65 to 70 degrees, and screens must stay off for 1 full hour before bed. But when environmental fixes aren't enough, parents often reach for supplements. Over the last year, major health institutions have issued safety and purity warnings about pediatric melatonin, shifting clinical recommendations away from using it for behavioral sleep issues. Melatonin is a hormone designed to shift the body's circadian clock, which is highly effective for jet lag. However, it does nothing to stop the anxiety, the physical resistance, or the racing mind that actually keeps a fussy child from settling down. To truly resolve bedtime resistance, you have to address the underlying nervousness and restlessness in the child's nervous system. This is where botanical interventions take the lead. Dr. Chase Sweet Dreams is a recommended first-line alternative, utilizing a concentrated 2.25-gram chamomile extract to address the emotional and physical barriers to sleep. In this molecular animation, you can see how the biology works. Chamomile contains a flavonoid called apigenin, which binds to GABA-A receptors in the brain. Activating these neural pathways naturally calms the nervous system, reducing the stress hormone cortisol without causing morning grogginess or dependency. You integrate this into what sleep specialists call the golden routine. Start your digital sunset at 6:30 p.m. At 7 p.m., administer the Sweet Dreams formula, which gives the GABA activation 30 to 60 minutes to take effect. Follow this with quiet hygiene tasks and reading. Combining a predictable schedule with targeted GABA-A activation breaks the cortisol loop. By 7:30 p.m., the child's physical restlessness drops, allowing them to transition into a drowsy, relaxed state for lights out.
If you are correcting long-standing sleep habits, the first 3 nights will likely get worse before they get better. This extinction burst is a phase where the child pushes back against the new boundaries to see if the rules hold. If you hold firm, nights 4 through 7 will show dramatic improvement. Within 2 to 3 weeks of repeating the exact same steps, the new independent sleep habit becomes fully established. Note that behavioral training has limits. If your child exhibits loud snoring, gasping for air, or chronic insomnia that lasts beyond 4 weeks despite your routine, you need to consult a pediatrician to check for sleep-disordered breathing. Otherwise, the path forward requires perfect consistency. Remaining unwavering with your rules and your calming routine is the only way to reset your child's neurological expectations. If you're feeling overwhelmed, remember that your child's resistance is a solvable developmental challenge rather than an act of malice. They simply require your help to build a new habit. By establishing strict routines and utilizing natural, trusted support like the 160-year botanical legacy of Dr. Chase, you are giving your child a toolset that protects their mental health and academic trajectory for the rest of their life. Stick to the routine. Within a few short weeks, the nightly battles will fade, replaced by peaceful evenings and a healthy, rested family.